you're listening right now, go ahead and subscribe, because these aren't stories you hear everywhere. This is the Insomniac, where the stories don't just scare you, they stay with you. And before we start, tell me where you're listening from tonight. I want to see who's awake with me. This first story happened in a place most people trust, a church. But what they built it on was never meant to be found. Every cemetery has rules, not the ones posted on the sign. Not visiting hours, or no trespassing. The real rules are the ones you learn after you've been there long enough. I didn't believe that at first. It was just a job. Night caretaker. Small church cemetery just outside town. Quiet place. Too quiet. The pastor hired me himself. Didn't ask many questions. Just handed me a key and told me one thing before I left. If you hear knocking, don't answer it. I thought he was joking. He wasn't smiling. First few nights were normal. Walk the grounds. Check the gate. Make sure nothing's disturbed. You get used to the dark out there, the way the headstones look, like people standing still, watching, but nothing actually moves. Not at first. It was the fourth night when I heard it. A knock, soft, coming from the ground. I froze, listened, nothing. I told myself it was nothing, just settling dirt, something shifting underground. Then it happened again. Same spot. Same sound. I looked down. Fresh dirt. No marker yet. That's when I remembered something. There hadn't been a burial that week. That grave wasn't supposed to be there. I stepped back, and that's when the knocking changed. Louder now, faster, like something was trying to get out. I should have walked away, I know that now, but I didn't, because I heard something else. A voice, muffled, but clear enough. Help me. I grabbed a shovel. I don't even remember deciding to. I just started digging. Dirt came loose fast. Too fast, like it had just been placed there. And then I hit it. Wood, same as before. A coffin. The knocking stopped the second I touched it. Everything went quiet. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I opened it. It wasn't empty, but it wasn't right either. The body inside wasn't dead. It was breathing, but its face kept changing. Not like a person, like it didn't know what it was supposed to be. And then it stopped and looked right at me, and it smiled, because it finally figured it out. The next grave I checked had my name on it. Story 2. The Confession Room. I didn't go to that church because I believed. I went because it was quiet. Nobody bothered you there, especially at night. I used to sit in the back. Last row, lights low, just enough to see the front. It felt safe, like nothing could reach you inside a place like that. I know better now. It started the night I noticed the side door was open. Not wide, just enough to see darkness behind it. That door led to the confession rooms. Nobody used them anymore. Not in years. I remember thinking it was strange, but not enough to leave. I stayed in my seat, just watched it. And after a while, I heard something. A whisper coming from inside that hallway. Too low to make out words, but enough to know. Someone was speaking. I stood up, not fast. Just slow enough that I could stop if it felt wrong. But I didn't stop. I walked toward it. The closer I got, the clearer it became. It wasn't one voice. It was two. One quiet. One answering. Like a confession. I stepped into the hallway. Dark. Narrow. Old wood on both sides. The door to one of the booths was open. Just barely. I could hear them inside. One voice shaking. The other, calm, too calm. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. I pushed the door open just enough to see inside. The side where the person sits was empty, no one there, but the voice was still speaking. I turned to the other side, where the priest would be, and that's when it stopped, completely. The silence hit so fast, it felt wrong, like I interrupted something I wasn't supposed to hear. Then, the voice came back, But this time, it wasn't talking to the other person. It was talking to me. You came in. I stepped back immediately. My heart was pounding now. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't made a sound. You shouldn't have listened. I turned to leave. That's when I heard it move. Not footsteps. Something sliding on the other side of the wall. Keeping pace with me, I walked faster. It followed, same speed, then it stopped, right at the end of the hallway. I reached the main room, didn't look back, just walked straight out the front doors. I didn't go back for a week. When I did, the side door was closed again. Everything looked normal, like nothing ever happened. I asked the pastor about it, just casually. Mentioned hearing voices. He didn't answer right away, just stared at me, longer than he should have. Then he said something I won't forget. Those rooms were sealed for a reason. I asked him what he meant, and that's when he told me. Years ago, people stopped coming out of those rooms the same, not possessed, just wrong, like something had listened to them and taken what it needed. That's why they sealed it. Not to keep people out, to keep something in. I didn't tell him everything. About the voice, about what it said to me. Because later that night, when I got home, I heard it again. Story 3. The list under the altar. I wasn't supposed to be there that night. The church was closed, lights off. Doors locked, but the caretaker had left something behind and asked me to grab it for him. Simple favor. I wish I would have said no. The key worked fine. The door opened like normal. Nothing felt wrong at first. Just quiet. Too quiet. I stepped inside, let the door close behind me, and stood there for a second, waiting for my eyes to adjust. That's when I noticed the altar. It wasn't set the way it should be. Cloth pulled back, something underneath it. I walked toward it slowly, not curious, just pulled toward it, like I needed to see what it was. I lifted the cloth. There was a door built into the floor. Old wood, scratched, like it had been opened a lot. That didn't make sense. Churches don't have doors under altars. Not like that. I should have covered it back up. I didn't. I pulled it open. The smell hit first. Not rot. Not dirt, something older, like air that had been trapped for years. There were stairs leading down, and at the bottom, a light, not bright, just enough to see shapes. I don't remember deciding to go down. I just did, step by step, slow, careful, until I reached the bottom. And that's when I saw it. The walls, covered in names, hundreds of them, scratched into the stone, not written. Carved, some fresh, some so old, they were barely readable. I moved closer, ran my hand across one of them, and that's when I realized they weren't random. They were organized, rows, dates, patterns, like a record, a list. I kept reading them, until I saw one that stopped me. My name, carved into the wall, dated, tomorrow. I stepped back immediately, my heart pounding now. That's when I heard something behind me. Not footsteps, breathing. Close, too close. I turned. It wasn't standing there, it was part of the wall, pressed into it, like it had grown out of the stone. Its face, half-formed, shifting like the others, and its hand was still carving my name over and over. Like it wasn't sure which one was right. That's when I understood. The church wasn't built to worship anything. It was built to keep track, to record the people who had already been chosen. I ran, didn't stop, didn't look back. But the next morning, I went back. I had to know if it was real. The door was gone, the altar back in place, like nothing had ever been there. But when I checked the cemetery outside, there was a fresh grave, already marked with my name. Story 4. The service they hold at night. The church didn't close at night. That's what nobody tells you. The doors lock. The lights go out, but it doesn't stop. I found that out by accident. I used to drive past it every night. Same road, same time. Around 2:30 a.m. Never saw anything unusual, just a dark building sitting there, until one night I saw lights inside, not bright, flickering, like candles. That didn't make sense. No services that late, but I slowed down anyway, just enough to look, and that's when I saw them. Figures inside, sitting in the pews, all facing forward, not moving. I drove past, didn't stop, but I couldn't shake it, because something about them felt wrong, too still, too perfect. The next night, I went back, parked across the road, turned the engine off, and watched. The lights came on again, same time, same flicker, and they were there again, sitting in the pews. I got out of the truck. I don't know why. I just needed to see closer. The front doors weren't locked. They opened without a sound, and the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. The air felt thick, like breathing through something. The people didn't turn, didn't react. They just sat there, facing the altar. I walked down the aisle, slow, careful, and as I passed them, I realized something. They weren't breathing, not one of them. I stopped, looked closer. Their faces weren't right, like they'd been copied, but not perfectly. That's when the voice started, from the front, calm, steady. We gather every night. I looked toward the altar. Something was standing there. Not a priest, not a person. Its shape kept shifting, like it couldn't stay in one form. And the voice changed with it. Different tones, different people. To remember, to keep them, to replace them. I backed up immediately, my chest tight, because I understood what I was looking at. Those weren't people sitting there. They were copies, made from the ones on the list, waiting to take their place. I turned to leave, but as I reached the door, I heard something behind me. Movement. I looked back, just for a second, and they were all standing now, every single one of them, facing me, and the thing at the altar wasn't shifting anymore. It looked exactly like me, and it was already walking down the aisle. Final story. You were never just listening. If you've made it this far, you've probably noticed something. These stories, they don't feel separate. The church, the cemetery, the road, they all connect. I didn't realize that at first either. I thought I was just hearing stories, same as you. But then something happened that made me understand what this really is. It started after I listened to one of them late at night. Couldn't sleep, lights off, just me and the sound. You know the kind. Quiet voice, slow pacing, the kind that pulls you in. I finished it and just sat there, not scared, not really, just aware, like something had changed. That's when I heard it. A knock. Not loud, just enough to make me stop breathing for a second. It came from my front door. I didn't move. I just listened. Then it happened again, same pattern, 3 knocks. And I knew that sound. I'd heard it before. In one of the stories. That's when it hit me. These weren't just stories. They were records. The same ones carved under the church, just told differently. I stood up slowly, walked toward the door. Every step felt heavier than it should, like I already knew what was there. I didn't open it. I looked through the side window first, and that's when I saw it, standing on my porch, not moving, just waiting. Its face wasn't right, not clear, like it was still deciding what it should look like. And then it smiled, the same way they did in the church. I stepped back, immediately, my heart racing now, because I understood something that I didn't before. It doesn't find you randomly. It learns you. Through the stories, through the listening, every detail you focus on, every reaction you have, it takes something from you until it knows enough to become you. The knocking stopped. The silence after that was worse, because I knew what it meant. It wasn't outside anymore. I turned slowly. It was standing behind me, inside my house. And this time, it wasn't trying to figure out what to look like. It already knew. It looked exactly like me. And if you're still listening, it already knows what you look like, too.